special guest, Dato' Seri Tengku Zafrul.
Would you context in future?
You know, when you talk about growth, we keep talking about GDP growth. You look at GDP growth, you look at inflation numbers, you look at unemployment numbers, you look at interest rates. You know, all these numbers, what does it mean to the people on the street? It doesn't mean much. It means to them is when they go to the supermarket for the same item, maybe last 6 months ago 100, today 110. You can talk that to the capital market players, you know, but you talk that to the people, they feel you are disconnected. Numbers lie.
This episode is proudly brought to you by ZUS Coffee. While watching the show, don't forget to grab a cup from the ZUS CEO series.
Hi!
Good day, everyone. Today we have a very, very special guest.
Yep.
He is the former Minister of Finance and also former Minister of MITI.
And right now, he's the senior political advisor of PM, Anwar Ibrahim, and also the chairman of MIDA, and also the president of BAM! BAM! All right, let's welcome
Dato' Seri Tengku Zafrul.
Yeah. He looks confused.
Yeah, you just woke me up. Good. I think it's better than the coffee.
This one, just coffee,
Our
just
coffee
coffee.
is the
Just coffee inside. Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
We're looking forward to your section very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. The book there, very worried. That guy came to Malaysia that day, you know?
Oh, is it?
Chris Miller, yes.
Oh.
He came and gave a talk.
Actually, I didn't read this book. I just use it to cover
the
my
phone.
phone.
Oh,
like
okay,
this.
okay. Wow.
Very bad then.
And this book is actually given by Liu
YB
Qintong.
Oh, Liu Qintong, yeah.
He
reads a lot.
Your deputy minister
Yeah,
before.
Yes, now finance.
So we have a very important guest.
Yeah.
We gotta ask some important questions.
Yeah, very important
the
question.
First one.
Yep.
We heard that recently you have a Chinese name.
You changed your
You
Chinese
changed your
name.
Chinese name.
Yeah.
How?
Did you know that? Did you know that?
Did you?
Yes, my team spoke to me. And
Alright.
of course, you know, I've been, you know, spending a lot of time on the
Alright.
ground, and then someone said, "Hey, you need to have a Chinese name to get connected."
Right.
And also out of respect, right? About, you know, to people that we meet, and I say, okay, so what should my name be? So I got, I mean, I think there's a team that looked at the name, and to me, you know, as long as, you know, it connects me to the people, and you know, and you know, it's good.
Did you know the meaning? The meaning is
it says prosperity. They didn't tipu me lah.
Not yet.
Okay, good. I was worried also.
So they
Good
picked
name,
the
good
name
name.
for you.
They picked the name and explained to me, and I said, okay, I have to trust you. But then I called a few friends, and I forwarded them the message. Okay.
you have to double confirm.
Double confirm, never know. You know. Because I check, you know, sometimes they say there's double meaning. But in any language also.
Yeah.
The way you pronounce and all that.
True. You are very successful in your corporate life. Why did you join government? Like, what made you do that?
Well, I get these questions all the time,
Yes.
especially from my own family.
Because like for us, if we are the president of CIMB, we are not going to leave the job.
My mom will kill me. You know?
Yeah, I think my mom was going to kill me. But anyway, on a serious note, to me, you know, I've been in banking for over 20 years, right? Close to 23 years at that time. It wasn't an easy decision. You know, I thought hard and long about it. In fact, you know, the first answer was no. Normal lah. You say, hey, you know, I'm having a comfortable job here, and you know, I want to do something else. I already had plans, actually. You know, my plan was to go into, you know, private equity or do my own business, you know, rather than just being a professional all my life. But at that time, because I was thinking about, you know, moving to a transitionary role to another position, I said, look, actually, you know, I've done a lot of work in this space. At the same time, I feel that I've been very lucky, right? Of course, you know, I think work hard is also important, not just rely on luck. But it's time to give back to the country and to the friends and people who has helped me to get to where I am today. So I'd say, okay 3 years, right? Because senatorship, you know,
3 years.
3 years. I mean, maximum 6 years 2 terms. So okay, I say, okay, 3 years, I'll give you back. Then I want to go back to my private sector life. That was the plan when that was the thinking when I accepted it so of course now that's history things change.
Okay.
Why
don't you go back to the private sector? What makes you stay in the public service?
After my timing was not good. I joined the government in 2020 and timing not good because
COVID's time,
COVID.
right?
But when I joined, I didn't know COVID. I joined
Of course, no.
so I joined was before COVID. I said, okay, 3 years. Okay, do it. And then suddenly 1 month later, lockdown. So we had to struggle to come up with a stimulus package within a week. In fact, we did it less than that, right? The first stimulus, in the end, we did 8 stimulus packages. I think we all went through it, right? How to balance life and livelihoods. When we locked down the economy, come up with various support system, understanding the challenges. But so at that time, I was very exposed, very fast. The learning curve was very steep. It's not the normal way of learning, right? Because at that time, it's like crisis. And then, of course, there's political crisis, there's health crisis, there's economic crisis, 3 in 1. And what's worse, you cannot learn from other countries. So everybody faced the same thing for the first time. Nobody faced it. I cannot call my counterpart in Indonesia, Thailand, or even other countries and say, hey, how do you do this? They say, hey, the first time also we cannot. First time actually it happened. So that exposure led to me to realize that, look, things are very different in my... Sometimes in the private sector, you live in your own bubble, right? So you see things, and, when you do things, and especially with the government and the stakeholders like the other agencies, NGOs, everybody was so involved in that time. I think we were all quite united at that time to resolve the crisis. I realized that, there's more than just my world of banking or my world of corporate sector, and I felt that I can contribute more with my experience. So the timing was, in a way, again, timing decides also, because suddenly after 2.5 years, close to 3 years, my senatorship was going to end. Election time. Yeah. So I had to decide. Okay, do I focus on the earlier plan? This is the good time to exit. Or do I continue to want to do public life where I help make policies at the highest level? And I decided that, okay, let's try lah. And I feel that I can still contribute. So then that's where I decided to contest in the general election.
Would you contest in future?
Yes. Now I've decided. I decided whether I win or not is a separate issue lah, right? That depends on the votes or the people's. But what is important is I've decided that I think I as long as I've got some value to add or I want to continue to contribute. To contribute at the highest level, you have to be an elected member.
Can I get another first-hand news? Which seats you want to contest?
Have an eye on?
Yeah, well, the seat really depends on the party, right? And the party, of course, have their leadership that decides. And eventually, of course, the top senior leadership will decide whether, one, I can contest. Secondly, where, right? Of course, I have relayed my intention to contest. I just told you so, and they understood that, and I think looks like they are supportive, right? But nothing in writing yet. But one thing was certain is I've also stated that I want to contest in my home state, which is Selangor.
Right.
So that's when I think I will continue to focus in Selangor. And then coincidentally, as you know, there is some challenges in certain areas where it requires a senior member of the party to come and help, especially in Pandan. So I'm spending some time in Pandan. I was spending some time in Ampang also because I'm Cabang of Ampang. I'm a member of the Ampang Cabang. So that's why I spend some time there because my family lives in Ampang, right? So that's why I joined the Ampang Cabang.
I think Ampang is a safe seat, but Pandan is quite challenging.
Yeah. You think so?
I don't know.
Where do you vote?
Where do I?
Where do you vote?
Johor.
Also, you're going down?
Yeah.
Must go down.
PRM.
PRM. Where do you vote?
Perak.
Perak. So, okay. Come move to Pandan. Yes.
Hope Joe. What? Sounds like a hint.
So looking back at your tenure, whether it's Minister of Finance or Minister of MITI, seems like you're always being thrown in the crisis. The COVID and the tariff and stuff. It looks like very miserable jobs. What makes you, any particular moment that makes you have I have the calling that I want to serve the nation? Because it's very hard for us to imagine. Political lives seem very bad.
It's a crisis.
The only reason we wanted to join politics is to get money, but it seems like you already have a comfortable life in private. Right.
Do you have the CIMB black credit card?
No, CIMB don't have black credit card. That's the American Express.
Alright.
But back to the question.
Back to the question.
Yeah, I mean the COVID is an example. Yeah, but you're right about the earlier point. I think the crisis followed me lah. Yeah, but I joined, suddenly got COVID. I joined, suddenly got trade. But anyway, just joking lah. But it's good.
That's why he changed name.
Oh,
Yeah, but hopefully no more crisis. Yeah. So back to your question.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean COVID was one example. Where it opened my eyes to the challenges. Even all the way down to the small mom and pop shops, to the gerai-gerai, and to my friends who are were really affected by it as well, and some family members. So this worked together with the team in not just MOF in that state, all the other ministries, including the health ministry. We can craft policies and then execute it. Right. For me, from my previous life in the corporate sector, execution is so key. So you can plan, you can have many plans, but if you cannot execute it well, there's no point in those plans. So this is where I feel that I can continue to contribute. And when I see and when I go down on the ground, the changes, the impact of those policies, that that satisfaction is a feeling that you feel that okay. But of course, sometimes you go down, you also realize that you need to do more, right? So this is where then you feel shit. You must want to do some more. I don't know. That drives me. And I hope as long as that continues to be something that keeps me energized and also keep me being able to help, I would like to continue.
You have been in the private sector and the public sector. What's the difference of them? Like, is it really hard to execute in the public sector?
Okay, I'll be very honest. You never been in public sector before?
No.
So when
Public school
as a student.
So when you I can be open here. So when I was in private sector, I always think public sector is slow.
True.
You feel or not? Agree or not? We always complain about the public sector. I always say, so much bureaucracy. So much. Why it's so slow? Why this kind of policy? And especially in the. So when I joined, I was worried because I was worried that the culture is different, right? I mean, corporate culture is very different. It is, can be very brutal also at the same time, right? And especially meritocracy, and also it's like dog eat dog world. Also, very everybody's very focused, but also focus a lot on just money also, right? Right. But so they look at, and then they're all in their own silo their own echo chamber. So when I joined the government, I thought, okay it's going to be slow. But when I joined, straight away during COVID hit, you can see these guys, my colleagues, especially at MOF, they work 24/7. In fact, they slept in the office for that 1 week. Yes. We had a hostel also connected to it. Everybody was sleeping there. In fact, slept 2-3 hours a day. And it shows that, I can't get this kind of commitment when I was in private sector. I mean, in my bank. Sometimes you got crisis, yes, I guess. I don't want to sound too unfair to them, but I was surprised at the level of commitment given, because you coming from private sector, you always don't see until you're there, right? So I mean, I think it's unfair that people like me before thought that the private sector is not as dedicated. Yes, I think the system needs improvement because sometimes the system is maybe too bureaucratic, but then sometimes we also understand why there is a bureaucracy because of check and balance. Sometimes you require, but there are always room for improvement in my view. So I think we need to continue to work on it. And this government, for example, are looking at ways to cut down those red tapes. But also something we need to focus on is pay. Wages and all that. I think the government salary scheme also, need to be relooked so that we can attract good talent as well. Right? True. I think you can see the private sector pay, but the problem with the government salary is also because we have to look at the overall people's salary, not compare just with private sector. Right, so it's quite complicated. Yeah.
So right now you are no longer complaining about the.
No. Now I complain about private sector.
Why?
Always want to look at their
the money, the
money, their profit. Sometimes they just look at. I used to be, people say I used to be a capitalist, right?
Oh, okay.
But now I think Well, I understand the motives of the commercial sector, and I can understand that, especially if they improve the productivity, livelihoods of people and their employees. But that spillover, I think, is going to be very key, right? So when the economy grows or the company grows, it cannot benefit too much to a certain group, or else it's not sustainable. And we can see this happening all over the world.
Yeah, actually, we have interviewed your deputy, YB Liu Chin-tong, before, and he told us that actually you did a lot of restructure and also I don't know how, but you make the department more efficient. Is it true? Do you have any example?
Yeah. Well, whatever Chin-tong said is true, definitely. I think, especially if it's good, right? Yeah. But yes, we came out with a National Industrial Master Plan. For example, we came out with the National Semiconductor Strategy. What we wanted to do is to get everyone focused, right? And everyone focused, and then draw a map and a plan and the execution strategy. We even started the project management office in MITI, and I'm thankful that I have a good, strong deputy. He's very involved, which is good. I mean, the trust is there to execute things, and he was key in execution as well. So what's important to me was to get everyone aligned, right? So in any, like we play football or you play, badminton also, you need to get everyone aligned, because if you're not aligned, whatever objectives or mission or programs you want to do, you can't execute because everyone wants to do their own thing. So got everyone on the same page, right? When you play football on the same pitch, everyone must have the same goal. It's a team event. Similarly, in MITI, it has to be a team effort to make success. So I think this is where I learned a lot in my corporate life about being a team player. This is where it's important.
I think the investment number is rising right now. The growth, investment, and also GDP also quite well. But somehow I still feel like the people are still complaining
about the cost of living pressure and stuff.
The wealth didn't goes to them.
Well, we still not a high income nation. Can you explain a bit too?
Yeah, it is true, right? In fact, I'm doing a fellowship in a university in UK now, where I'm studying issues about political economy. It's about the people economy. Not just in Malaysia, but all over the world today, people are questioning the economic model that we have today, right? Last time, after the post-World War, right, in 1940, one may have forgotten that it's already 80 years since the UN, WTO, all this, what we're used to, the kinds of growth that we have. So everybody seemed to be benefiting from that growth, right? But now, as at a stage where, since the 1990s, down 2020s, then we had major crises, right? We had the Asian financial crisis, we had the global financial crisis, we had the COVID crisis. The economic model always been tested and failed, right? And what's worse is suddenly the gap is getting bigger. The rich and the poor, and the middle class is shrinking, right? So there's something wrong, obviously, in the economic order or the economic model that we're so used to, right? So we need to make sure that we relook at this. So back to your question about cost of living. You can say investment went up a lot, right? Record investment last year. Job nearly 250,000 job created. But in what sectors, right? So not all sectors are benefiting. So we need to, as government, we need to support sectors that are also being affected. Like Malaysia, SME employ about 70% of the working population. This is what they call it, unofficial numbers. It is important that we ensure that growth, this year, last year, growth about 5.4% in the quarter, right? So we need to make sure that growth is felt by everyone. Right now, maybe certain sectors feel good. The export market is doing well. For example, the companies that are doing export, like semiconductor, E&E, are doing well. And then at the end of the day, what about the other sectors that may be affected? So we need to look at this, or companies, but also people. Right now, because of cost of living, prices of what's happening in the world today, from the Ukraine war to the closure of the Iran.
Yeah.
So all that has resulted in costs going up. And what's worse is the whole world, they're also changing their, what they call it, trade policies. Their trade policies now no longer because, I buy from the cheapest. They manage the cost down. Now they say, look, I buy from my friends only, right? It's about security of supply chain, security, resiliency of supply chain, right? And they're investing also. They're relocating to countries where they feel they're safer. So, but doesn't mean it's going to be cheaper. So that's why you will see increase in costs, increases energy prices, because people talk about energy security now, right? So this is where I think we need to really relook. And Malaysia is a very open economy, so we're going to be affected by all these changes in policies by other countries. So this is why I think important we're ready for this.
Since you are the senior political advisor to our PM, what
advice would you give
what
to
is
him?
the three priority thing you think Malaysia need to do
right now
to
looking
avoid
at the
this
current politics change and stuff?
Yeah, well, politics. That's why I talked about political economy just now, right? You cannot political and politics and economy, they intersect, right? Because economy and politics, if they don't intersect, that means we are out of touch. So you cannot talk about politics without talking about the economy, and vice versa. So for the Prime Minister, I think it's going to be important that he continues to enlarge the economic pie, right? So because at the end of the day, when you talk about growth, if only one part of the pie is growing, it's going to eat up the other part of the pie if the pie doesn't grow, right? So this is where, when you talk about economic growth, we need to make sure that all sectors are filling it. And then when we say sectors filling it, it's spillover. So when you grow, that sector grow, how many jobs are they creating? How many SMEs or how many companies that are part of that supply chain or the ecosystem? Make sure there's many locals. And when foreign comes, make sure there are local companies supporting it. And then we move up the value chain as well. We can't be continuing doing, for example, when I talk about semiconductor, we cannot just do, test and assembly, all the back end office, back end part of the supply chain. We need to do front end, IC design, we need to do fabrication, wafer fabrication, advanced packaging. So that when we move up the value chain, then the jobs also will be even higher, right? I mean, in terms of sophistication, to increase economic complexity. And when your job is more difficult or more complex, your salary also goes up. Or else our people, when they work at this level, they want to go to the other level, and there's no industries to support their job. They will go to Singapore, or they will go to UK, US, well, not UK anymore, but US or even China, etc. So we need to create that job opportunities at higher level. Our employees are going to get better, smarter, and
Is there any example of this kind of policy? Is it like the EV car policy in meeting?
So EV car is quite complex, right? Because ICE internal combustion engine is slightly more matured in the industry. So EV, as you know, China is way ahead, right? You can see how automotive industry is shocked, disrupted, in fact, by the strength and the rapid growth of the EV industry in China. I think only the Germans come close to them.
Is it
when it comes to EV.
Tesla?
Even Tesla is behind.
in terms of the sales.
The sales,
All right.
even technology, and pricing. Not only technology is more advanced, but pricing is also more competitive. So where do Malaysia can fit in, right? So Malaysia, even the automotive industry, we are quite instrumental in the chips, especially the power chips. Remember during the COVID crisis, if we shut down our chip factory that does the power chips for Mercedes, for even Tesla, etc., they can't even produce the car because your car all now got chips, because those are the intelligence that's driving the car. And when you have an EV car, right, the chips will go, I think they're saying that from 1,000 plus chips now to 10, 15,000, depending on the cars, right? So that means there will be more demand for this. So we should focus on areas that support that growth. We might not be able to produce a Tesla or a BYD or whatever, but we can be part of that supply chain that is part of the component that's required in the car. Less like we're doing today. But of course, Proton, to be fair, and Perdua are both trying to do this EV as well. But as an industry, as a supply chain, we should not just supply to Proton and Perdua. We should even supply to Tesla and BYD, etc., which we are, by the way, already supplying.
So will us force the foreign investment to use our local parts? Is it
we have
strategy?
to. I think it's very important that when FDI comes in, there must be jobs created and the right kind of jobs. We don't want jobs created by everybody that's working all foreign. foreigners.
All right.
Must drop for locals. But this is where the debate about data center, for example, right? So they say, oh, they just bring in everything, just pasang. So now we're saying, even as my role is in MIDA, we need to make sure that they use local component, of course, local construction, etc. But we also make sure that the users are local, right? The computing power, must get local companies to benefit from the existence of this computing power in the country.
I also heard some debates over this kind of topic and policy, saying that while our government setting so many conditions that you must create how many jobs, you must use how many from the local part, it will scare away the foreign investment. They won't come here. So what are the advantages that we can pursue the foreign investment to come here while they still need to use our local?
The companies will always complain lah.
That's why he hate private now. Okay.
Because when we put this condition, sometimes the foreign companies, sometimes even locals will complain that sometimes because some local owned companies, especially in the manufacturing sector, which I'm exposed to, wages, they complain. Still, I think most of them understand. But like foreign workers, some of them say, oh, we need more foreign workers. But as a government, look at a long-term policy, we need to make sure that in companies, especially our SMEs, invest in automation, in 4IR, or even in AI. We are already now, according to the statistics, behind Thailand and Vietnam when it comes to our SME productivity. Because maybe we are too lenient on the foreign worker policy. We allow foreign workers come in big numbers, and therefore the company got no incentive to invest in technology. These are short term, right? In the long term, we have seen our competitiveness being beaten by our neighbors. So this is why. But of course, when you talk to some SMEs, they're not happy, right? Similarly, for foreign companies, we are saying, look, we cannot. If you want incentives, you need to show that these incentives are going to benefit Malaysians and Malaysian companies and the Malaysian economy. If it doesn't, then you can come here, but you can't get the incentive, right? So this is where I think it's important that we be upfront about it. And thankfully, as you mentioned earlier in our interview here, the numbers are still growing. So I think investors want to see a win-win. I say, okay, you want us to create this kind of jobs, high-end paying jobs to Malaysians, and you want us to make sure suppliers come from here, you want to make sure exports driven from Malaysia to around the world, okay, then they work out their numbers. So as long as it makes sense, win-win, they will do it. But of course, if the numbers for them don't work out and we demand too much, then they won't come here.
How do you balance this?
Well, a lot of engagement, understanding, because why they have to submit their numbers. They have to explain. I said, this one, if you force us this much, or if the levy is this much, or then they won't be money, so they can come. Or they say, look, during the beginning investment period, I need to cover some costs because of the initial. So maybe sometimes we give tax holiday for a period of time, but not forever lah. Like we give the status called pioneer status. This will help companies who come here, or if you bring in new technology, right? So then we get into incentive.
What is the advantage of us compared to Thailand,
Vietnam or
Thailand,
Thailand,
other countries?
yeah.
Is it our land is cheap or electricity?
Land cheap, no more.
No more. Used to be.
It used to be.
Okay.
I think Vietnam is cheaper than Thailand, for that matter. But
about
depending. So energy is quite competitive. But for us, you see, when you look at sectors, again, I give a few sectors now. The key one, like automation I mentioned just now. Automotive I mentioned just now. I mentioned E&E, especially semiconductor. These are all built over years. In fact, it's built over 60 years. So when you build that, when companies want to come, they want to see ecosystem. That means they want to see talent pools there. And our talent pool is built over the last 60 years for many sectors, oil and gas as well, chemical, petrochemical, etc. So when they want to bring their company to support these industries, they want to see whether they're talent. Of course, they're talent because the industries are all there. And then they want to see whether, for example, when a company A comes in, suddenly company A needs company B's product.
All right.
But because company A is here, then company B will come.
Wow.
So over 10 years, then you get the whole ecosystem being built. So they come because they can let's say they come, they can also supply to Intel, they can also supply to Infineon, they can also supply to even Malaysia companies, right? So So it makes sense for them to come because the scale is there. So that's the main reason. Also, it's not just about cost of land, cost of energy, cost of labor, but also the building
The
of the
ecosystem.
ecosystem must be there.
Wow, we are so
it's
good
like
at
lifestyle. Sometimes it's not just salary, right?
Lifestyle also well.
It's not just about your salary. You want to live where the lifestyle is, right?
Oh.
So
Is
same
it
as
like
company.
I don't know lah. Maybe the CEO they like to live in Malaysia. Is it?
I think so. Penang, they like Penang.
Oh, they like Penang, right.
Because KL, JB, but some states maybe have more challenging. That's why we have all these, policies to give more incentive to areas that are new. Because people like to go areas which is established, right? So that's why you see that, like Penang is like the Silicon Valley of the East, right? So everybody wants to go to Penang when it comes to semiconductors. So we are trying to promote Selangor as well for IC design. Of course, Johor, people say, oh, this is the data center. But then, data center hub for the Asia, in fact, But we are saying, look, we should also make sure that the spillover is to other states, etc.
Right.
I'm very impressed by the economic model that you mentioned earlier when you do fellowship.
根据最新的观察，现在市面上很多咖啡的问题就是咖啡越来越甜，可是咖啡味越来越不明显。所以今天就让我这位咖啡师和专员来体验一下市场上的咖啡品质。
来，专员小心烫，这里是我们用2种不同的咖啡粉冲泡出来的咖啡。
好，让我看看合不合格。哇，这个咖啡太甜了，而且咖啡的香气不够浓，不合格。
哇，这么严格的吗？
当然了，喝咖啡是要喝咖啡味，不是喝糖味的吗？我先试看第2杯。哇，这个咖啡的香味这么浓郁，而且还不甜，这是什么牌子的咖啡？
这是 ZUS NGUPI 2-in-1 White Coffee， 它最大的特点就是不甜，而且咖啡味还很浓很高。
这么牛逼
！NGUPI 采用 Tri-Blend Malt Technology， 将 Arabica、Robusta 和 Liberica 3种咖啡豆融合，让咖啡入口更顺滑，带来熟悉的马来西亚咖啡店白咖啡风味。所以这杯通过认证，
不只是通过，而且还会获得我咖啡师和专员的认证推荐。
甜味少一点，咖啡香一点，
和 NGUPI 更牛逼。
I'm very impressed by the economic model that you mentioned earlier when you do fellowship in UK, saying that the whole world is looking for a new economic model. Because I have always heard a saying that criticize capitalism is easy, but to come up with a better one is hard. So, and looking back in Malaysia, polarization is quite distinct. So everyone one different thing. What do you think is the most suitable economic model for Malaysia?
You're right. When you said that we know the challenge, we know the problems, the problem statement is very clear, right? But what is the answer, right? I think because everybody who have an answer will have an answer that benefits themselves. I mean, that's life, right? For certain industry, they say, oh, I want to do this, but then they don't realize you do this, you kill another guy, another industry. So similarly in politics or in everything in life is about making sure that trade-off is as fair as possible, right? So when we do for Malaysia, one, we are an open economy. Our trade to GDP is about 200%. That means, the market that we have when it comes to consumption is not big enough for producers to be based here. So we need the whole global market. That's why we have like 18 FTAs, free trade agreements with many countries and many blocks. And we are in nearly all blocks because we want to penetrate other people's market so that the companies that we have today here can export, right? And create jobs here, at the same time bring income to the country in the forex, etc. So this is where then it's important that we continue to strengthen our own fundamental. So for Malaysia, because we are competing, if we just producing for our country and we are closed economy, is different. But we are an open economy, so the Malaysian companies, Malaysian talent need to move up in terms of their productivity, their skill set, etc., to be competitive. Then nobody can take that away. Right? You see what happens in Korea, in Japan, they have their up and downs, and of course, one time people even argue Korea was at the same level as us, right, in the 70s, right? But where are they today, right? But of course, there are other examples where I don't want to name those countries where they are ahead of us and now behind us.
Who?
Ask someone else. Yeah. So for Malaysia, number one, you need to be strong on your own feet. make sure that you invest in human capital, invest in your industry, so that you can remain competitive. You don't care that others you win based on merit, because you have to. You're a very much open economy. That's why we need to remain competitive. We need, as government, we need to facilitate that for the industries. You can't do it. I mean, government is not in business, so you need to facilitate the business. I strongly believe that. So secondly, I think what's also important is that, when you talk about growth, we keep talking about GDP growth. You look at GDP growth, you look at inflation numbers, you look at unemployment numbers, you look at interest rates, all these numbers. What does it mean to the people on the street? It doesn't mean much, right? What does it mean to them? It means to them is when they go to the supermarket, when they go to the till machine, they pay yesterday for the same item, maybe 6 months ago. How come 6 months ago 100, today 110? I'm buying the same thing, right? This is why it's important to the people, right? This is why it's important to not just Malaysians, but the global citizens. They all look at, how much it costs to feed the family, how much it costs to pay the rental, how much it costs to pay the education, and it's all, like it or not, is going up. But they won't feel it if the salary is also going up, right? So now the challenge is for Malaysia, we need to make sure that that economic spillover is felt, and everyone who have a stake in the game or a stake in the economy must play a part. You cannot just rely on government subsidies, etc. Every companies, they all have to increase the salary of their workers. They have to increase the productivity of the workers. Yeah, are you paid well here?
I hope we can increase
your salary. Who pays your salary? Can you increase it?
Yeah, please.
So yeah.
So that we make Malaysia stronger.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
And bonus also. Yeah. But honestly, seriously, so you need to look at making sure that spillover is even, because you can see, if not, they will move far left or move far right. Right? In economy or in politics, I believe in the center. People might disagree with me. Some people feel that far left, far right can make the changes because the center has failed. But to me, the center is, in a country like Malaysia, is very much a country that's successful because of being center. But we continue to transform, right? I think we should fix what's wrong. But I think to change the whole model so abruptly is not going to be easy. It's going to be, in fact, challenging and can be even disruptive to the people.
It's glad to hear that you still have the confidence for being in the center, because looking at the
but you can't blame, you can't blame people going left and right, because left or to the right, because they feel that the center is not working, or the center don't understand. So that's why, to me, one of the advice I give to a lot of the people that are talking about GDP growth, inflation low, unemployment low, or GDP strong, is, look, you can talk that to the capital market players, but you talk that to the people, they feel you are disconnected. So when people feel that you are disconnected with them, then they don't trust you. So whatever policy you do may not benefit, they may not be effective, because the trust is so key in policy making.
How did you come up with this kind of perspective, since you are quite rich? Maybe since a long time, I don't know, but I don't think
Some
this
people
is a
think that,
perspective that you can born with it. Like, you have to learn something, or you have to face some maybe some experience.
You have to some life experience to
that you
understand the glass road.
Yeah, I think
where do you get this?
Well, I think definitely if you just live in your own world, you won't see this. So I think the role that I've been given as Minister of Finance, and after that the Minister of Investment, Trade and Industry at MITI, opened my eyes that there are, you cannot just look at things at a very high level. You have to go down on the ground. That's why I spend down on the ground. And numbers lie, right? Numbers are average. Law of averages, right? So you will see that, you already talk about average number, right? Or on average, inflation is 1.5%, but some of the food items 6-8%. So, and these are the items. So, and it also depends on the formula, the model, right? The basket. So these are all the things that sometimes you need to go and understand how did you derive the numbers, and also when you go on the ground, you will then understand the problem. So I think that's key, right? But also at the same time, you shouldn't just complain lah, right? I mean, government also shouldn't just be so defensive. So we need to then find solutions. But solutions in a world where people expect instant result is also a challenge, right? Especially the young today. I mean, you guys are younger than me, right? Or same age, no?
No,
younger.
I'm 95.
Oh, okay.
95 years old.
1995.
You 2019?
96.
Oh, you're older.
Yeah, yeah,
Big
yeah.
sister lah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay lah. I'm 1970 something. Okay. Anyway, so
Still young, yeah.
So
Younger than
any-
our expectations.
Wait.
oh,
I mean, as a minister,
Alright.
I thought you need to be like 60 years or something. Oh no.
Say sorry.
Sorry.
never mind. I make sure you praise you more. And then, so those are the, I think, and I think the final thing that you really need to focus on is we need. I mean, as a country, it's not easy, especially when politics are based on identity, right? It has to be based more on policies, issues, right? And as a nation, if you want to grow, we have to be united, and we challenge each other on policies, on principles, etc., rather than identity.
Speaking about the political economy, so we always have a belief that if the extremists are come out from those who are suffering, do you believe that if we make the economy better, then everyone will come back and stay in the middle instead of going left or right?
Yeah. Yes, I believe that. I believe that, to be fair, not just the center. I think if the left or the right can come up with a policy that we feel can help the economy, then, I mean, I don't believe so, but if the rakyat believe, then, that's what we see in some of the certain countries, right? They have certain leaders because of they promise all that, and we've seen, one country that like UK, for example. I used to study that. To me they made a wrong decision on Brexit, right? But that was a populist thing to do. They feel that immigration has killed jobs, and they feel that this competition from Europe has affected their own industry. But look at where they are today. Right, so now people are, some of the voters are regretting, but of course, with time, with hindsight, everything is perfect lah. But again, in Malaysia, I think it's important that we try and fix it, because if we at the center do not try and fix it, we have only ourselves to blame, right? So we need to come up with policies that address the concerns of the people.
Just now we have done talking about the domestic economics. I think in the international level, we believe to stay in the middle as well. But the rivalry between the US and China is going more intense and intense. Do you think that we can still stay in the middle?
Yeah, I think we have to stay in the middle. Whether we can or not is up to us. And we've been in the middle since our country became Malaysia in 1957. So definitely there will be push from many sides, right? So for us, the consistency in our approach is important. So if we say we have issues on the South China Sea, for example, we have to be firm on that. And then we have issue on the tariff with the US, we have to be firm on that. So that our friends will respect us, that we are choosing our position based on our country's interests, of course, but also on our principles, not because we are pushed. So we need to do that, because once you don't follow these principles, then it's very hard for you to navigate internationally.
Have you met Donald Trump and President Xi personally?
Yes, I had the opportunity as meeting minister.
Who is more
Handsome.
Who's more handsome? You should ask a woman. Huh?
I never met them in person.
But in the TV, which one is more handsome?
You are more handsome.
You should be a politician.
All right, last question. You have begun your political journey with UMNO, but right now you are with PKR. What makes you do so?
The switch.
Why PKR?
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Are you still doing with them? or you have any breaking news?
Well, okay. I mean, we talk a bit about my
personal choices.
Choices just now. You talk about history as well. I must admit that when I was in the corporate sector, in the private sector, I was not really active in politics. I was a member of UMNO, despite that, because my family there are many members who are members of UMNO, but to be fair, there are also some of them members of PH. But for me, I wasn't thinking about which party at that time, right? And when I joined government, and then when I wanted to go into politics, I was already an UMNO member at the time, so I decided, okay, that's why I contested. But as you build, in life, in career or even in career in politics, you try to see what resonates to the principles that you have. What is your DNA? And to me, we live in a multiracial country, right? I want to be directly involved with supporting a country, where the Rakyat represents a very multiracial, multicultural. And I think this party, has a direct access to that. When you want to resolve issues, we talk about economic issues today. It's not economic issues that affect Malay or affect Indian or affect Chinese, affect all Malaysians, right? So this platform, you can argue that, some platform through the coalition, they have access also to the other communities, but for me, PKR gives that access directly to these communities. And as long as I can make a difference, and as long as I'm still wanted, I will do my best to support.
Thank you so much for coming.
We learned a lot today.
Yeah,
Open our eyes.
Yeah, very interesting. So if you like this episode, please don't forget to like our video and share to a friend and subscribe our channel. Maybe Dato Sri will come again, right?
Yeah. Am I invited again?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
When the next GE is coming, then we have to ask the Pandan voter to vote. No, maybe Ampang. We don't know yet.
We don't know.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming. Yes.
All right.
Have to clap.
See you again. Bye bye.
Once again, thanks to ZUS Coffee for supporting today's show. Be sure to download the ZUS app today and order a favorite drink from the ZUS CEO series.